I want to say something that is going to sound backwards at first. Your savings account, the one you've been dutifully funding every month, the one that makes you feel responsible and financially disciplined, that account might be one of the most expensive financial decisions you're making right now. Not because savings is bad, savings is critical, but because of where you're saving and what it's quietly costing you every single month while you're not paying attention. I'm Jared with Green Dot Wealth. We've spent the last few weeks building the foundation, the order of operations, Nash's premise, the warehouse concept, and we're shifting gears a little. Today is about a pain point, a real one that hits people when they're doing everything right, even by conventional standards, and still feel like they can't get ahead. If that's you, stay with me because I'm going to try to break down something that probably no one has ever shown you. There's a feeling you get when you check your savings balance and it's growing, a sense of progress, security, responsibility. That feeling is real, and it's not wrong to want it. But here's the thing about the feeling versus the math, they don't always agree. The average traditional savings account right now pays somewhere between 0.5 and 1% interest annually. A high yield savings account might get you 4 to 5% in a good environment, but that rate depends on the market and can drop without warning. Meanwhile, inflation, the rate at which the cost of everything you buy is rising, has been running well above those numbers for years. So do the math. If your savings account is paying you 1% and inflation is running at 3 to 4%, your money is losing purchasing power every single month. The number on your screen goes up, but what that number can actually buy goes down. That's not growth. That's a slow leak disguised as progress. Now here's the layer that most people never consider. And it goes back to a message we recently talked about from Nelson Nash's teachings. Every dollar sitting in your savings has an opportunity cost. That means every dollar parked there is a dollar that isn't working more effective. And I'm not saying you should dump your savings into a stock market. That's not the point. The point is that your money has a cost of doing nothing. And most savings accounts are pretty close to nothing. Think about it in the context of the warehouse of wealth that we talked about last week. A true warehouse isn't just storing your money, it's growing it, it's uninterrupted while keeping it accessible. Every day your money is working even while you're not. A traditional savings account isn't doing that. It's a parking lot, not a warehouse. And parking lots don't generate returns. They just hold space. Here's where it compounds. Pun intended. The money you're not growing today is money you'll need to earn back later. And later, you'll have less time for it to work. That's the opportunity cost. Not a dramatic loss you can point to on a statement, a quiet, invisible drag on your long-term financial picture. So I want to paint you a picture of the person this hits the hardest, because it's probably someone you know. Stable income, maybe 2 household earners, not reckless with money, actually pretty disciplined. They've got a savings account they've been building for years, maybe an emergency fund that's sitting there that they're proud of, maybe money earmarked for a future goal, home renovation, a kid's tuition, a business idea they've been sitting on. They feel like they're doing everything right, and in a lot of ways, they are. But here's what they don't see. The emergency fund has been losing purchasing power for years. That tuition money is growing slower than the tuition bill is rising. The business idea money is sitting idle while the opportunity clock is ticking. They're not losing money dramatically. They're losing it slowly, invisibly, in the gap between what their savings account earns and what the world is actually charging them. And the worst part, no one ever sat down with them and showed them this with clarity. The bank certainly didn't. Their financial advisor may not have either, because a savings account isn't where advisors make money. So it's rarely the focus of the conversation. That's exactly the kind of thing I think everybody deserves to understand. So, what's the alternative? Because I'm not here just to tell you what's broken without pointing to something better. The families who solve this problem aren't doing it by chasing higher savings rates or moving money between high yield accounts every time the Fed moves. That's exhausting, and it's still playing the losing game with slightly better odds. What they do instead is build a system where their capital, their savings, their liquid reserves, their emergency fund, lives in a structure that grows at a guaranteed rate, uninterrupted by market swings, and stays accessible without penalty. That's the warehouse we talked about last week. And that's exactly what it looks like when someone decides to learn more about infinite banking concepts. Your money doesn't sit idle. It doesn't lose to inflation quietly. It grows. It's there when you need it, and it's not trapped behind a penalty wall or a market timing problem. You still have access to your capital. It's still liquid, but now it's working instead of slowly losing ground in a parking lot. If you're a disciplined saver, the one doing everything right on paper, and something in this video hits close to home, I want to talk to you. Because the gap I just described, it's fixable. And it doesn't require blowing up your financial life to fix it. It requires a conversation and a plan. Head to green.wealth.com and book a free 30-minute discovery call. We'll look at where your money's actually sitting now, what it's actually earning versus what it's losing, and what a smarter structure could look like for your situation. The link's in the description. Just takes a minute to book. If you're not ready yet, please subscribe, because next week we're going to go after one of the biggest myths in the mainstream retirement planning. And it's one I think a lot of you are going to want to hear. I'm Jared with Green Dot Wealth, and I'll see you next week.